Witness is Mr. Brown Mogotsi. He is represented by Advocate Arno Venter, instructed by David Bayliss. Before we start with Mr. Mogotsi, Chair, I'd merely want to place on record that we're shifting at the start of proceedings. My predecessor, Advocate Motawasi, explained that we were going to structure these hearings essentially in 3 stages. That in the first stage, the persons making the allegations in support of the allegations that Brigadier General Mkhwanazi made at his press conference would have the opportunity to bring evidence forward in support of those allegations, and that evidence would not be tested at this stage. It would be tested later when we call those witnesses back in stage 3. Then in stage 2, persons who need to answer some of those allegations will be called, and we're now moving into stage 2. Now, the witnesses making the allegations were allowed to tell their stories without interruption or without hostile questioning. And so in fairness to Mr. Mogotsi and to all other witnesses who come in this stage, we propose that we will allow the witnesses to tell their story first. We will lead them on their statements without interrogating in any detail the allegations that they make in their statements, so that they have the opportunity to tell their story in full without hostile interruption. Once they have completed their statements, we will then shift to a more intrusive form of questioning, just to test the veracity of the allegations that are made. So for most of today, I would imagine.
So is this something the evidence leaders will do immediately?
Indeed.
The witnesses' evidences?
Indeed. But to enable the witness to tell their story in full, we will only do that after they have told their story in full. So for most of today, I will be leading Mr. Mogotsi through his statement that's been made available to you. Depending on how far we get today, either late today or tomorrow, I will then start testing particular aspects of that, of what Mr. Mogotsi says in his statement.
I hope that doesn't stop us from doing what we have been doing, which is sometimes to ask a few testing questions as you go along.
Indeed, certainly clarificatory questions, absolutely, Chair. We would welcome clarificatory questions. Mr. Mogotsi needs the opportunity to make everything clear to the Commission. Again, on the same basis as the Commissioners have been questioning the Phase 1 witnesses on particular details, the Commissioners must feel free to do the same in relation to Mr. Mogotsi and all other witnesses.
Thank you. In addition, just one slide. In addition to the file containing the statement, there are 2 other files, 1 and 2, one referred to as the exhibit bundle and the other as annexures. I want to put one behind me. Is there one that
indeed the exhibits bundle will not be referred to today?
Which one?
Exhibits bundle. File 1. So exhibits bundle will not be referred to today at all. And that's in terms of an undertaking I made to Mr. Mogotsi's legal representatives, because it was made available at a very, very late stage. So they will need to go through it with Mr. Mogotsi after hearings today before I can refer to it. I should mention also in that regard that there are certain, in the annexure bundle, which is file 2, there are certain, if one goes to page 144, from 144 on, there are documents which are the documents that were attached to the chats between Mr. Mogotsi and Mr. Katmatlala. I will not be referring to those documents today because, again, they were made available at a late stage to Mr. Mogotsi, and his legal team needs just to have the opportunity to confirm that they are indeed what we say they are.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Mr. Chairperson, is it 144 of 2 of 2?
It is
CBM1.
from CBM1 onwards.
And also maybe just to guide our engagement in this uninterrupted section, when you do the second part, you will be interrogating the statement of today.
Indeed,
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mr. Mogotsi, good morning. Please place your name, your full names on record.
Opa Brown Mogotsi.
Are you going to swear or affirm?
I'm going to swear, Commissioner.
Do you swear that the evidence you are going to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? If so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Mogotsi. And Mr. Mogotsi, just to repeat what I've just said to the Chair, in the first stage of this...
I'm very sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Chairperson. Mr. Mogotsi, can you please switch on both mics and try to pull them as close to you as possible? As long as you still have room for your laptop.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Just to repeat what I indicated to the Chair at the outset, the purpose of the starting phase of today's session is really for me to enable you to tell the story that you tell in your statement. So I am not going to try to catch you out this morning, as it were. I'm trying to amplify what you say in your statement. There will come a point when we reach the end of your statement when I will have to test what the correctness of what you're saying. But I will give you notice when we reach that point, so you know when to be on your guard, as it were. With that introduction, Mr. Mogotsi, can I just check that you have in front of you both the file called Statement and the file called Annexures, file 2 of 2?
Yeah, they're in my possession. Thank you.
And so we will start with your statement. And there is a fairly lengthy introductory section that runs from page 1 through to paragraph 13 on page 4, which explains the approach to you from the Commission, the notices that were sent to you and your responses. I don't think we need to dwell on it in any detail, but will you merely confirm that well, maybe we should start at the very beginning. Can I ask you to go to the end of your statement, page 25, and confirm that the signature that we see on page 25 is your signature?
That's my signature. That's correct, Commissioner.
And that the contents of the statement that you have furnished to the Commission are true and correct?
True and correct. That's correct.
To go back then, paragraphs 3 to 13 really set out the background to the Commission's engagement with you and what happened in leading up to your furnishing of the statement that we received on Saturday. Beyond confirming that those paragraphs are correct, is there anything in relation to those paragraphs that you would like to highlight or to amplify before we move on to the substance of your statement?
Oh, they are correct.
Thank you.
I'm satisfied.
Then, if we can start with the substantive part of your statement, and maybe you can start at paragraph 15 and tell the Commission about your history that you set out in paragraph 15.
Thank you, Commissioners. During the period from 1993 to the early part of 1995, I was in countries operative, but in its self-defense unit, which operated within South Africa, and had its own objective and gathering of intelligence. I gained a lot of experience in the clandestine gathering of intelligence and the practices of counterintelligence. I then became and I was appointed an official informant for the South African Police Service in 1999. During 2009, I was registered and thereafter acted as an agent for crime intelligence in South African Police Service.
And can you explain to the Commission the difference between an informant and an agent?
See, an informant will be any person. It even happens in different situations. We may be a group of three probably doing something illegal or stealing. And when I happen to be arrested alone, the moment I tell the police the truth and tell them, even yesterday we stole something and we left it at a particular place, and the police goes there and find whatever that I'm saying. And further probably tell the police, look, even next week or tomorrow, we are planning to break somewhere, and the police goes there and they find that it's true. My friends were attempting to steal or they were breaking. The particular person can also be regarded as an informant, or a police officer may be knowing the movement of this person, his environment, and may also make that particular person an informant. But when it comes to a contact agent will be recruited by a crime intelligence officers or official. And that recruitment will include certain things based on your history. They'll also, usually they'll even recruit an individual who has been an informant for some time. There is a particular paragraph in here which gives the difference between an informant, the definition of a co-handler. But what I need to emphasize, and a co-agent, sorry. A co-agent, unlike a...
Sorry, can I just clarify, when you say co-agent, are you referring to contact agent?
Contact agent, okay. Contact agent. A contact agent is having a different, is usually empowered with an instrument that it's utilized by all organizations, criminal intelligence organizations in the world. It's a very sophisticated instrument. It's called the legend building. In its definition, it's more like creating a false life or a backstory created for a clandestine operative. It is an essential component of spy cover identity designed to withstand scrutiny and conceal the identity. Now, this contact agent, as I said, there is a particular paragraph which gives, is paragraph 18. It says a contact agent is a person who is recruited by a crime intelligence officer, which is referred to as a handler. A contact agent is expected to establish a network of sources and informants in order to execute the task, and the handler would from time to time assign to the contact agent in the field. It goes to say a contact agent does not carry any form of identification which would refer to him or her as holding that designation, because a file with the contact agent details is kept in custody of his or her handler's possession. Now, all payments for services rendered by a contact agent and disbursement incurred in the execution of his or her duties as a contact agent are paid in cash by the handler after having completed the necessary paperwork. And usually, a handler would recruit the contact agent with the knowledge that the contact agent has been informed of South African Police Services proceeding his or her recruitment. And it further says, a contact agent can thus be described as a person who acts as a link between an intelligence service and informant or undercover operative. He or she passes information, instruction, or resources between the two while protecting the identities of those involved. He further manages the safety and secrecy of the communication channel used. For example, in South Africa, Crime Intelligence Division, a contact agent might liaise with police intelligence officers and civilian sources who provide information about criminal activities and or investigation.
If I can just clarify a couple of issues. You talk about payments. Can I ask, when you were an informant, were you ever paid for your services as informant?
As an informant, yes, you would be reimbursed in some way.
And as an agent, have you been paid as an agent?
Yeah, when recruited, you will obviously, after meeting your handler, after a week or so, he'll come and probably give a recruitment fee of some sort. And you will gradually be talking about your tasks and so forth. And here and there, he will assist you, bring you some payment, which all the time you'll have to sign some papers on receiving of that payment.
And when you, as an agent, run informants or have informants, are you empowered to pay them, the informants underneath you?
Commissioners, there is no way. You may just know that a particular informant has claimed so and so much to, and because you will be talking to the handler, there's no way you can pay. It is only the handler who can pay the informant. And just to add, Commissioners, even the handler on doing the payment will never come with a friend or a colleague. It will only be you and the handler.
So if your informants were paid, it wasn't you who paid them, it was one of your handlers who would pay them.
Commissioner, may you repeat the question?
So if your informants, the informants who you had when you were building a network as an agent, if they were paid, it would be the handlers who paid them, not
It will
you.
be the handlers. That's correct.
You talk generally, sorry, you mentioned building a legend. Can you just explain to the Commission what you meant by that regard, in that regard?
The legend building. This instrument, when I said you will create a false life, in one of the statements, you see I said one of my communications with General Mkonazi, for example, I sent him a message that how is your relationship between yourself and Lieutenant General Kumar? And he asked, what did he say? And I said, no, he was putting a remark that you are not listening to the crime intelligence. At the moment he advanced more question, I said, the minister has been briefed, or I said, General Khan will brief you next week. It's just to create a false life. You create a perception that the person can start talking to you.
But in your case, the legend that you created didn't involve any different identity from your actual identity as Brown Mogotsi. You didn't.
Yes, I remained Brown Mogotsi.
Can you then take the Commission to paragraph 16 of your statement and explain what happened in December 2020.
During December 2020, I was called by the late Lieutenant General Mfazi. It was just after the PPE scandal, after the COVID-19. And it was also after the arrest of Divisional Commissioner Lieutenant General Jacobs, Major General Kalakala, and the others. And when he called me for a task in my capacity as a contact agent to investigate, also to check the irregularities within the crime intelligence and South African Police Service. And that time, Lieutenant General Mfazi was the Deputy National Commissioner of Crime Detection.
And you refer to a brief to look into irregularities within crime intelligence and SAPS. That's quite a general brief. Was there anything in specific that you were specifically that you were asked to look at?
Yeah, for example, that period he referred to, there was reference about procurement of some vehicles by crime intelligence, which could not be traced, and other transactions. For example, you would have a proof of payment to informers, and you will want to establish if really these informers did receive those payments and so forth.
Can you continue then to paragraph 17?
Yes, that's where Lieutenant General Mfazi introduced wanted the particular handler to be my handler. And I told him, no, but I do have a handler, General Mfazi, who was Warrant Officer Mabizela. But then the one that he called, we then agreed that he'll be my co-handler.
So, Lieutenant General Mfazi essentially gave you a co-handler to work alongside Mabizela.
That's correct.
And as far as you were concerned, was there any division of labor between the two handlers? Was there work that you did with Mabizela but not your co-handler, and work that you did with the co-handler and not Mabizela?
No. Yes, the handler is the one who will always give you tasks. But in circumstances where the handler is not available, will also say, please talk to the co-handler, or I have spoken to the co-handler, please work with him in this particular project.
So as far as you were concerned, the handlers were a team that was managing you. There wasn't like as though Mabizela dealt with you in relation to a particular project. Co-handler had nothing to do with that, but he dealt with a different project.
Now, if there is a project, the co-handler will know and be notified by the handler. A co-handler will not initiate any mission without the main handler, the handler himself.
Now, in paragraph 19, you indicate that you need to protect the identity of the co-handler. And you say he undertook to be interviewed by me, and that interview, in fact, took place yesterday. I don't want you to name the co-handler in open commission, but can I ask you just to write on a piece of paper which you will show to the commissioners the name of the co-handler, so that if at a later stage the co-handler is called to testify, we know that we're talking to the same person.
Commissioners, may I approach my counsel, please? Commissioners, I will
Can I also see the piece of paper?
May I ask that Mr. Mogotsi should please write the first name as well, if he knows it. Thank you.
When you're not testifying, and particularly when you're talking to your attorney, switch off your microphones because it gets recorded.
Thank you.
Mr. Mogotsi, at the end of paragraph 19,
Sorry, Mr. Chancellor. Please continue.
at the end of paragraph 19, you say, during my clandestine investigations, I uncovered criminal activities. As a result, my scope of work investigation was expanded. Can you amplify that? Can you give an indication of the sorts of criminal activities that you uncovered and how your scope of work expanded?
At first, it came about most of the missions which were done in like informants working with the police, how the claims of informants will be inflated on the original submission as opposed to what the informant will receive. But most importantly was the coordination in the crime intelligence in terms of, I may just give you one example. There was a time when an instruction was given out that all informants would receive a flat rate amount, whereas when claims are done, you see a different. You'll just get a different thing. And remember, commissioners.
What do you mean by seeing a different thing?
Different amount, like it was now known, and that's what created a big problem for the crime intelligence, when all informers were given a flat rate of 3,000 rand, irrespective of the work they have done. And I believe as we continue, one will give you tangible explanation, evidence that shows how the crime intelligence actually got affected to where we are today. Yes.
Just to be sure I understand you, Mr. Mogotsi, are you saying the informants would be paid a flat rate, but when the claim was made in respect of that informant, a higher amount would be claimed
yes. But now,
from the so-called slush fund?
Well, so yes, that's correct. And not only that,
All right.
you know, commissioners, what is contained in the statement is mostly questions which were directed to me to respond to. I believe this commission, through the contribution, how we want to assist this commission, there will be a drastic change, especially in the crime intelligence. As we go on, we'll be able to get the picture, the actual picture, as to actually why are we here, why there is this commission. As we go on, please.
Apologies, I interrupted you. You were still at the point where you were talking about the flat rate being paid, but a higher claim being made.
Yes, that's where an informant will tell you, I've received this much, and then your source inside will tell you a different amount. And then as 2 or 3 of those things happened, that's when the scope gets expanded.
And how did the scope expand?
Then that's when you start focusing on something very, very difficult. If a particular or if an incident of that kind has occurred, commissioners, it will now call to check as to after every arrest, how will this informant be remunerated? Now, not focusing on fighting crime. Now, wishing that there could be something happening that they could be, and then once arrest has happened, then one will want to know how the whole thing unfolded at the end of the day.
Just to clarify, Mr. Mogotsi, I think earlier you said that payments would be made in cash.
That's correct.
So were there records that you verify against if you're doing this investigation?
Yeah, the utilization of a source, it's a very tricky thing. It goes with loyalty and trust. But the source will always show you something which you cannot take. But then you'll inform your handler that, such and such has taken place.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Then in paragraph 20, you talk about Lieutenant General passing away in July 2021. Can you explain to the Commission what happened at that point?
Lieutenant Mfazi passed away in 2021. Excuse me. And then immediately my handler has instructed me to lay low. And by the way, there is an investigation on the passing of Lieutenant General Mfazi, the suspicion of being poisoned. There is that investigation by IDEC. However, my handler instructed me to lay low, which I did, but I kept communication between the handler and the co-handler.
Can I just clarify? Certainly, the official recorded cause of death for Lieutenant General Mfazi is COVID, is it not?
That's correct.
And do you know why you were instructed to lay low?
I did not. I took it that because the General Mfazi has passed on, the handler is probably thinking there should be other things that will come up at a later stage. But there was no way I could continue when the handler say you must lay low.
In paragraph 21, you talk about the period December 23 to January 2024. Had you been laying low from July 2021 through to December 2023.
Yes, but I said I kept contact with my handlers.
Can you then take the commission through to paragraph 21?
Yes, that was the time in 2023 up to 2024 that when South African government initiated an action against the government of Israel in the International Court of Justice. Now, that's when we got information that the area in Richards Bay, which is controlled by this Israeli interest, there was a worry from those interests that South Africa may hold that particular business, the trade.
What area in Richards Bay, Mr. Mogotsi?
There is a mine in Richards Bay. But then the information as it came was that there was a suspicion then, a real suspicion, that Lieutenant General Mkonazi was recruited by the Central Intelligence Agency, the American one. And he actively worked for them.
In your statement, I will read exactly what you say when you introduce this subject of recruitment. You say, I obtained information from one of my sources that King Mrs. Zulu and Lieutenant General Mkwanazi were recruited by and actively worked for and with the American Central Intelligence Agency, in brackets CIA. Relayed to us by you, this information is hearsay. And relayed to you by your source, it is hearsay. So it is hearsay upon hearsay or double hearsay. Do you agree?
I do not agree, commissioners. In this world, the intelligence world, when there is a suspicion, you may presume, you can say, yes, it's a hearsay, how a general person will think. But a contact agent, an underground operative, will have to investigate, even if you can.
No, please continue.
Okay. The hearsay part, it becomes something of a general knowledge. One must investigate because it's a suspicion. Now, if a source says to you, King Mrs. Zulu and Lieutenant General Mkonazi were recruited by the CIA, you start paying attention to everything they do.
May I please, it's a simple question.
Okay.
I don't even understand why you would dispute what I'm suggesting to you. In my language, which is isiXhosa, hearsay is undiva. I've asked my co-commissioners what it is in Setswana, and they tell me that it's mabaribari.
It's true.
You know that?
Yes, I know that.
So all I'm asking you
That's correct.
is whether you accept hore.
It is hearsay.
Mabaribari.
Yes, it was Mabaribari when it was first presented.
Yes, I'm
That's
not
correct.
asking about what you would
Oh,
then
thank you.
establish
Thank you, Commissioner.
afterwards.
Thank you.
Ke batla ho tseba hore ke mabaribari na. Ne?
Thank you. Thank you.
Ke bona?
Ke yona.
Thank you.
Hey, go buile monate ka go ka gopola ditlepe-tlepe tsa ka.
Thanks. I don't want you to misunderstand me.
That's correct.
Hearsay evidence is admissible in this commission. The only issue would be its probative value. That is what weight we attach to it. So it's still admissible. Yeah.
Thank you.
But my next question then is, what detail, if any, did your source give you on how the source knew that General Mkhwanazi and King Misizulu had been recruited by the CIA?
Commissioner, may Commissioner rephrase the question? I don't.
What detail did your source give you on how they, that is your source, knew that General Mkhwanazi and King Misizulu had been recruited by the CIA? Did your source just say, do you know, General Mkhwanazi and King Misizulu were recruited by the CIA without more?
Yeah, it is without more. You just say, you know, King Misizulu he's been staying somewhere in the US. You check, and then you see how General Mkhwanazi speaks. He always tells you he was trained by the American and what. That's where everything started, commissioners. And indeed, even in front of the and in ad hoc, he spoke about being trained by the American.
I'll tell you that I actually hold a degree from the United States of America. Does that make me a CIA operative? I'm scared I asked that question because you just might say yes.
No.
But can you please respond?
No, I cannot say that, commissioners. Investigation as it comes, someone may say that, not to me, to another agent, to whoever, may say Commissioner Madlanga is a CIA. He may say that, not to me. Yes, that.
Thank you.
But just picking up on the chair's question, apart from the fact that General Mkhwanazi says that he received some training in the United States, did your source give you any information to support his allegation that General Mkhwanazi and King Misizulu are CIA agents?
Yeah. You see, when information came, commissioners, it further talks to the treatment which the combination of General Mkhwanazi and Misizulu, King Misizulu, how they treated the brother to King Misizulu, Prince Makati. The investigation took us to that extent that we ended up having to meet him.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, even though the question is not mine. I do not understand the question to be about what you established later.
Oh, okay.
It's about the stage at which you get the information.
No, there was nothing on top of that. Thank you. Understand.
I think maybe then go to paragraph 22, where I think you were heading anyway.
Yeah. Oh, this is where the source further indicated that in execution of his mandate from CIA, Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi on numerous occasions sent members of the political killing task team to intimidate, harass, attempt to murder members of the royal house associated to Prince Makati. Now, a number of cases were opened with SAPS in KwaZulu-Natal related to the contact. These cases were, however, not investigated or acted upon by SAPS due to intervention of Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, being the Provincial Commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal.
So, can you explain what evidence, if any, you received to substantiate the statement that this was in execution of a mandate from the CIA?
It is because we ended up, like I'm mentioning, Prince Makade commissioners, part of my network, we ended up having to meet with them Actually, they even came to Gauteng. We hosted them in Midrand, helped them to open a case as they were alluding. But that time, Prince Magade sent the aide and Prince Zulu. We came to Midrand. And after opening the case, due to jurisdictional purpose, the matter was then transferred back to Nangoma police station. We also have the case number mentioned here, Commissioners.
You mention in paragraph 22 that cases relating to alleged intimidation, harassment, and attempted murder of members of the royal household associated with Prince Makadi were never investigated or acted upon by the SAPS. Do you have any details of these cases that we could investigate further? Are they?
That was said during when we opened the case, when we said, okay, come, let's open it and let's see what will happen. This is what came from the investigation, Commissioner.
But do you have any?
No, except for the case that we opened. Except for the case we opened, this is the only case that we have.
And this case that was opened first in Midrand and then transferred to Nongoma, do you have any details of what has happened in that case?
The case could not be furthered, could not even be investigated further.
You say it could not be investigated, or
when you ask the complainant, they'll say there's nothing happening on the matter.
Then in paragraph 25, you
Sorry, Mr. Chairperson, maybe let me just clarify something still in paragraph 22. Mr. Mogotsi, maybe before I ask my question, let me go back to 21, just to complete so that 22 makes sense. In 21, right at the end, after you say that General Mkhwanazi was trained in the United States, you say, and I read, they being King Misizulu and General Mkhwanazi, you say they were activated in that capacity to protect Western interests. I further obtained information from the source that Lieutenant Mkhwanazi was tasked to neutralize any opposition to King Misizulu. Prince Simakade is currently involved in litigation. And then in paragraph 22, and my question is, you say a number of criminal cases were opened with the SAPS in KwaZulu-Natal related to this conduct. And this is after the sentence where you say members of the political killings task team were sent to intimidate. These cases that you refer to, were they cases against members of the PKTT?
That's correct. And thank you, Commissioner. In fact, when SC was crossing to paragraph 25, I was going to ask Commission that I should emphasize that the reason the case was opened in Gauteng was simply because it's not written elsewhere, but it's a practice that has been developed, that if cases were opened against political killing task team members, not only in KZN, all over, and they would not be investigated. That's the thing I wanted to say.
Yes, my question is more specific. It is, you say there were a number of cases opened. And my question is, are those number of cases against members of the PKTT, accusing them of intimidation, harassment, and attempted murder? You're saying there are such cases that were opened?
Yes, that's what I said. There were such cases according to the investigation. But the one that we opened in Midrand, it was against Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, the case that was opened by Prince Makati.
And the ones opened against PKTT members, there are names to them. There are individuals, members who are named in those cases.
That perhaps the Commission, one will have to find out and try to get more information. But as I'm saying, on the arrival, as we spoke, they did say, we tried to open these cases so many times against PTT, PKTT, against General Konazi. Nothing has ever happened.
So that's what you were told?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I see.
The one that was registered, it was against Lieutenant General Konazi.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. And this case was it was registered at a regular SAPS station, not with an iPad.
A police station.
Can you then proceed to paragraph 25, where you talk about the Western interests that were allegedly being protected here?
Yes, that's the part I say there is a mine, a coal mine sources, and the export routes thereof in South Africa. So it further says there was an apprehension the South African government may hold the output of coal via the Richards Bay port terminal. And the offtake portion of this coal route was owned by Israeli interest. It is for this reason that Richards Bay area became priority region and focus point for Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi.
Can I ask you just to expand on this, because there are a couple of issues I need clarity on. The first is where the concern arose about the halting of output of coal from Richards Bay.
You see, like I said, when the information came, commissioners, there was a feeling of the Western, of the Israelis, that because South Africa took Israel to International Criminal Court, that feeling amongst them was that even that trade route could be halted. And that's why they had now to activate their sources, being the king and the. And I can also confirm that during that time, Prince Smagate was in a business engagement. With the Chinese, because I believe there was kind of agreement which was planned to be entered into, but it was opposed and it never materialized.
And you speak about the offtake portion of the coal route being owned by Israeli interests. So are you talking about, well, what share of the output that goes through Richards Bay are you talking about?
Yeah, well, the information one could not verify. Remember, the business interest was something which we never dwelt much into. The issue here was that the prince had a problem, and he knew that there is a coal going out from there, and it falls under his jurisdiction. They were part of it. I never got much information related to the shareholdings and so forth.
And did you investigate whether coal output from Richards Bay was increasing or decreasing over the period 2023 through 2024 and on to 2025?
We never got to that stage to investigate that part.
Of what relevance, if any, is your evidence about the intended transaction between Prince Magade and China? Is that of any relevance to your testimony today?
I don't understand the question, Commissioner.
You mentioned in the context of the Richards Bay Port Terminal, you mentioned Prince Magade and China, and you said something like there was an intended transaction which, as I understood you, fell through. So my question is that testimony of any relevance? I'm not suggesting that it is not, but is it of any relevance to...
Yes, I would say, Commissioner, if the Chinese were brought into the picture, it directly impacted on the interest of the Israelis. I think that's the relevance.
Thank you.
And Mr. Mogotsi, do you know who owns the Richards Bay coal terminal?
No, I'm not aware. I don't know. Not know, Commissioner.
Can I then, moving away from Richards Bay, ask you to turn to paragraph 26?
Commissioner, I would like to be advised here. When SC is mentioning a paragraph, do I have to read it, or should I am not actually conversant with these processes. Now, I end up repeating what is written, or one is expected to expound what is contained in here.
If I can say, if you want to amplify anything there, please do. But when I ask you to go to paragraph 26, bear in mind we can see the statement, but
So
the
it means
people
I'm
watching and listening can't. So it's to read it, and if you want to amplify, to amplify.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, during the period March-April 2024, one of my sources in South African Police Service informed me about the health tender that was awarded to Mogotsi Madlanga through a company owned by Madlanga, namely Medicare 24. This company also had links to the then Minister Begitele. The information discussed with my handler, Rizela, who indicated that I should wait to action this until the elections. He had a view that changes will be made in this regard on a political level.
What links did this company have with the Minister Tsele? And what links did Medicare 24 have with Minister Tsele?
Yeah.
And what do you base that statement on?
When the information comes, says this company is being awarded a 360 million tender. And the source says, I can tell you, Minister Begitele is having interest in this particular tender. Now, the question is, what interest? Now, earlier, Commissioner was saying, my question is based on at the moment when you receive information. Now, I do not know if I should continue to explain what then happened, or I should stick to when I receive the information, Commissioner.
All I want is, do you have a basis for saying that there was this link? That's all.
Yes, there are bases. There are bases, Commissioner.
Do you care sharing those bases with us?
Correctly so, Commissioner. The tender was awarded during the tenure of Minister Begitele. And I'm going to take this opportunity, Commissioner, to just to reference what former Minister Begitele said in Parliament about this Mogotsi Madlanga. Apart from in the statement, I did mention how much Mogotsi Madlanga told me about his financial transactions with Minister Begitele. Now, there is something, I believe the Commission will have access to that. The Commission should perhaps direct attention to the crime intelligence in their archives. There is something called Boko Haram. It was a presentation, intelligence presentation, which was presented to the former Minister Begitele. I'm going to give a bit description about the presentation. Commissioners, it was 6 pages. The Boko Haram, it talks to a man who was known as John Wick. This John Wick appears on the presentation of the intelligence presentation which was presented to Minister Begitele. There's a picture of John Wick, his ID number. It has his previous convictions, pending cases, and everything, all the matters that were withdrawn against him. It was in 2018 October, Commissioner. Commissioner, John Wick is Vosemose Ketmatla. Even the picture is showing that. Now, former Minister Begitele says now he only met him in December 2024. Now, one will ask again, he even said he didn't know him, he invited him to his house, and it was a freebie, he had to take it. And I should also share, it's within those messages between me and Ket Madlanga. The story that Minister Begitele was in Ket's house, it is true. We actually had to arrest Minister Cele at the time. He was affected by this POCA Act, the Proceeds of Crime Act. There was an arrangement. I believe when we get to those messages, one will be able to allude to the commission exactly what happened. It was during the ANC Lekgotla, when General Cele was in that house. And the basis which I also refer to, I'm saying when we reach there, it's written in my statement, the monies which Ket Matala alleges to have given to Begitele, they are there.
On the timing, when was Minister Cele in Mr. Matlala's house in relation to the award of the contract?
It was after the contract was awarded, Commissioner. The contract was awarded last year, and the information said, and it's not only former minister, it goes to General Masemola also. Not only General Cele. When information came, they referred, of course, to General Begitele, that he has interest in that. And it is true that he would, from time to time, talk to Ket Matala. At that time, because he was the minister, we could not do anything. Hence, the instruction was that let's wait for the elections. And indeed, the ANC parliamentary list, when it was published, Begitele was on the list around 200 and something to 300. We already knew he was not coming back to Parliament, and we waited for the new dispensation. And as a result, Minister Senzo Mtunu was appointed the Minister of Police.
I just want to understand, and this is my last question on this. I want to understand your point around Mr. John Wick's in relation to the award of the contract. If you are making any connection at all in that regard, what's your point exactly?
The point is that it is clear that General Begitele, he knew Vosemose Ket Matala beforehand, because this presentation was done in 2018. And when the source says General Begitele is having an interest in this tent, you'll ask him, but why are you saying that? What do you have? He'll say, no, with the information that is coming, go and check, but I know they are talking or they are meeting. He'll just give you a draft information. That's what is happening.
If I understand you correctly, so you are basically saying at the stage of what you refer to as the Boko Haram presentation, Minister Cele knew of or about Mr. Matala.
Definitely.
But at that stage, you are not suggesting that they had met.
Yes, they had not met. Let me say, because he was presented, and the picture of the presentation shows Matala's picture. Doesn't show, there's no other John Wick. John Wick is Vosemose Ket Matala.
So he knew of or
He
about
knew
him.
of the man, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
You speak with some detail about this presentation. You say it's 6 pages, October 2018. Have you seen it yourself?
Yes, that's correct, commissioners. There is what you call compartmentation, what you call is a sensitive compartmentation information, intelligence information, sensitive compartmented intelligence information. Now, you as an agent, you can just see that. I saw it. And that's why I'm requesting the commission to engage with the crime intelligence. I believe they will get the copy of that.
Do you know who in crime intelligence presented it to the minister at the time?
No, I do not know.
And do you know who we should ask in crime intelligence to receive this document?
I believe the commission will, just like it has been doing with other institutions, will pursue that route to find a particular person who's relevant.
And beyond the description Boko Haram presentation, is there any detail you can give us that would enable us to track down this document?
To get the Boko Haram. Can you?
I mean, I need to know what we should be looking for. So I need to describe.
Oh, you say you're looking for Boko Haram presentation. Crime intelligence Boko Haram presentation. It's blue in color.
And October 2018.
That's correct.
Mr. Mogotsi, you, in that paragraph 26, right at the end, in page 7, you say the information was discussed. This is the information about Minister Bekele's interest in the company. You say this information was discussed with my handler, who indicated that I should wait to action this until after the election. What action were you supposed to do?
So he indicated that I should wait to action.
Yes, what is to action here? What were you supposed to do?
Yeah, meaning to inquire or to speak to anyone within or outside, because that's correct.
Okay, so it wasn't. I thought earlier you said something about arresting Minister Kelly.
No. I was referring to
about.
Okay, Commissioner. I was referring to the messages which I speak to Kate about certain things that will show that I knew the time when Minister Bekele was in Kate's house.
Okay.
Yes.
And then the second part, which is the last sentence in that paragraph 26. You say your handler held the view that changes would be made in this regard on a political level. What is this? What was the what did your handler say is the significance of political changes?
Yeah, meaning that there may be a new minister except Bekele.
What did it matter? Did he explain why it would matter that there would be a new minister to your work, because you're going to action something?
Yeah, obviously, commissioners, if you are to investigate anything against the person on the seat who's sitting there at that moment, it's very, very difficult. So we had to perhaps wait for the new administration that would perhaps give us a breakthrough to find a way to talk to other people.
So what the handler was saying, that a new minister would allow you, or hoping that the new minister would enable you to conduct the investigation, to action which you were holding in abeyance.
Not that way, Commissioner. Obviously, when the new minister comes, will always come with new changes, will make changes to some important positions, which allows one to have access or talk to certain people.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chancellor.
Mr. Madlanga, you then in paragraph 28...
Mr. Mogotsi.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Mogotsi. In paragraph 28, you then mention that after the elections took place, in September 24, your handler and I discussed the possibility of arranging a meeting with General Sabia. Can I first ask which handler you're talking about? And we won't mention your co-handler by name, so just refer to him as your co-handler.
Yeah, it was my handler, Mabizela. But in this situation, I remember very well that he did tell me that he spoke to my co-handler and that we should find a way to meet with General Sibia.
And why General Sabia?
One of the reasons from the source was that General Sibia was totally not involved in the awarding of this tender. And more relevantly, General Sibia was appointed exactly in the space of the late General Mfasi. So we thought we could find a way to create a relationship, probably.
And you say you called General Sabia. Why would you call him, not your handler?
It is in the nature of this work. You get that a handler will not call a senior police officer and say, we have this particular thinking or whatever. If he gives me the number, he gave me the number, and then it is me who had to approach Lieutenant General Sibia. In case he does not agree or it does not, like what we would perhaps be proposing, the handler should not be having a problem at work now that he spoke to the Deputy National Commission.
So when you spoke to General Sabia, you did so telling him that not telling him that your handler had suggested this, not telling him that you were an agent. How did it work?
Obviously, you send a message to say, good day, General. My name is Brown Mogotsi. And he'll ask you a question. How do I help you? Who are you? And you'll send a next message saying, I think it's important that I meet you face to face. There's something that may be affecting you directly or indirect. May we have a meeting, please?
And do you introduce yourself to him as an agent or just as someone coming off the street, as it were?
No, you do say I have information that can be of useful and it may need your intervention. It's about this the tender and also in the department, tender in South African Police Service. And then where you start talking about the corruption of crime intelligence, you will say, and in subs there are this and that, those challenges. I know I have information of things that are happening inside.
And how did your interaction with General Sabia then proceed? Did you meet him face to face? Did you speak to him on the phone?
Yeah, we spoke 2 or 3 times over the phone. Then I requested to meet him and we met here in Gauteng. And that's when I told him that I am a contact agent and this is what I'm looking for. And there is a project, an award of a tender in South African Police Service. And I used to work with Lieutenant General Mfasi and so forth. That's when I introduced myself formally.
And when approximately was this?
It was around August last year. Or September, August.
And do you remember where you met?
Yes, we met. At first, I came to his office, and there is something very important that I should also mention, commissioners. The moment you inform a person that you are this particular agent, I believe you can hear as it is spoken by me, myself, that everyone heard Lieutenant Sibe, General Sibe speaking in Parliament. We met in December. At first, the intention was to bring this application in camera. And I know he had a view that he had to protect me. He couldn't speak what I'm saying here to the public. That perhaps a question will be posed, but we had General Sibia. Okay, he even said, I didn't pay my breakfast in Cape. But I'm trying to say, it should not be misconceived that I'm saying something he did not say. He had a duty to protect me. That's why he could not allude openly that this is Brown Mogotsi, we met. He just said, I came to him with information that someone is after you in crime intelligence. He did not speak to this that I'm saying, and this is what happened.
But your evidence is that you met for the first time in August, September last year.
Yes, in his office.
In his office.
That's correct.
And you say you briefed him on the two matters, the one of which was the tender of Mr. Madlanga, which you've discussed. The other was crime intelligence corruption. What did you brief him on in relation to crime intelligence corruption?
At that time, there were so many things happening in crime intelligence. I'm going to be specific in relation to crime intelligence commissioners. There is one Major General Lushab. He is the Chief Financial Officer of the crime intelligence. It's one of those incidents. He happened to, at his own time in Pretoria, met one, I don't know whether the girl was beautiful, but he met the girl. He took the girl to his house, and in the morning, the state laptop and the cell phones were gone. Major General Lushaba, instead of reporting that I had a visitor in my house, this and this happened, he opened a case of housebreaking against this girl. Now, as investigation was continuing, one of the crime intelligence officers, he was a sergeant, who was gathering information for this housebreaking case. He realized that this is not the housebreaking. Something different has happened. They started by cutting him off of these WhatsApp groups and so forth. As I speak, the man has been fired for that, just to participate in that. Look, or let me say, part of the reason this was used, they may have something that they may have added during his disciplinary hearing, but this was the main reason he was kicked out of his work.
And when did that happen?
It happened, it was last year, but as I'm saying, I was talking to General Sibia. One will mention certain things in the crime intelligence. That's one of the examples that I have given.
You started using pronouns. I got a little bit confused. Is it Major General Lushaba who was fired?
No, the sergeant who was helping with the gathering of information on the docket.
Thank you, thank you. The he, got a little bit confusing. Thank you.
And this is part of what you reported to General Sibia at your meeting.
Yeah, if you talk of crime intelligence, I was also showing the commission, particularly what is being transpiring in the crime intelligence, and of course, we also spoke about that a bit.
Can I, sorry, just on that. The question from Mr. Chaskelson is, in this meeting in August of 24, when you meet with General Sibia, what did you brief him about crime intelligence corruption? Now, you've explained about the loss of the crime intelligence corruption, you've explained about the laptop being lost, somebody having lost their employment because they were looking at this. Is all of that
Yes, that's
what you
correct.
briefed
That's correct.
General Sibia about in
Yes.
August 24?
That's correct.
Okay.
What about the fraudulent claims? Or what about the claims you referred to earlier? Was that part of the briefing or not?
Yeah, no, we did.
You did not
No, we did not get much into it. And
All right,
actually, when we spoke, General Sibia was he did not trust me. He was not comfortable. We did not speak comfortably for a long time, but we did touch some of these things. But
So is all that you spoke to him about in relation to the corruption, the issue involving Major General Lushaba, is that all you spoke?
I did mention that. Yes, I did mention.
Is it the only thing you mentioned?
No. Or to General Sibia, yes, we spoke about corruption, and I did mention this thing about General Lushaba, but particularly I was too much into this one of the health tender for Siket Madlanga.
You say crime, intelligence, corruption.
That's correct.
And how do you relate the tender to crime, intelligence, corruption?
That's why I'm saying on this part, commissioners, if a person is not that comfortable to talk to you, you'll just say, there's a lot of crime, there's a lot of corruption in crime intelligence, and there is this. Then it doesn't give you much time to explain what we are referring to. But he did know that I told him I'm a contact agent and I'm having to deal with this corruption and so forth. And we spoke only particularly about the issue of General Lushaba.
You also say there, though, in that same sentence, that you also briefed him about the Matlala SEPS tender award. What about it did you say to him?
Telling him that my sources say it was not awarded in terms of the law. Probably let me use irregularly. It was not. It was irregularly awarded. There are certain things which were not done properly out of that tender till its finalization and appointment.
So as at August 2024, General Sibia knew that there were irregularities to do with the award of this tender.
He didn't know. I was telling him.
I'm saying you told him in August.
Yes,
So
yes.
as at August, he had that
Yes.
from you, that there were irregularities.
Yeah, towards the end of August, I believe. Yeah.
Thank you. And then maybe lastly from me, Mr. Chaskasin, if I may just finish off, sorry that I'm interrupting you. You introduced yourself to General Sibia, you say, and told him that you're a contact agent. Now, I would assume that he would have wanted to check for himself, to verify you. You say he didn't quite know to trust you at the time.
Yes.
Did you have to tell him who your handler is? Because I would imagine that's relevant information.
Yes.
For him.
And unfortunately, he knew my co-handler.
Oh, he did.
Yes, co-handler.
He knew that it is your co-handler.
That's why, yes, I did mention a bit that I'm working with this man so and so.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chester.
And you then in paragraph 29 and 30 talk about how you gained the trust of General Sibia by letting him know your role in an arrest in the Northwest Province in an operation. Can you just tell us a little about that operation and what your role was?
We got information about they referred to them as Nkabis, who were, in fact, a week before there was some shooting taking place in the area. And through the information, they had to come in 3 or 4 days from that previous shooting. And there were TOMS, this tactical operation management system from the Hawks, who also came to Rustenburg. And then on the arrival, commissioners, they found security officers wearing a black uniform. And they inquired about the permits and licenses for the firearms and rifles they were holding. And indeed, they were presented with such. And an hour later, they left and took a cover. Now, immediately within an hour, the anticipated gang of Ngabis arrived at that place. And the police came. It is on exhibit. The pictures and the rifles will be seen there. They are attached. There were 32 firearms, pistols and rifles from 17 suspects. Now, what happened on that day? It was this man who was heading the operation that I was working with, the Lieutenant Colonel. His statement is here and everything. He received a call from that time Major General Mboto. He was a Major General. They called him and said, "Why are you arresting police officers? Security officers?" Because that time those people were already detained. All the firearms were put into the SAP 13 and so forth. Then he asked him, "Why are you arresting security officers?" And the officer alluded to him, "No, we came at first, as I tell the commission, we checked the security. These people are not security officers." And Major General Mboto, he was a Major General at the time, he insisted these people are security officers. But then the man who was the duty officer at the station, in Sun City, they are not holding cells. The suspects were already taken to Rustenburg for detention. That's when General Lebeya also spoke to one of the members of SAPS at the police station, at the CSC, who brought the phone to the man who was on duty at the time, Lieutenant Colonel Maluleka. Now, General Lebeya also said, "You have detained security officers," but to their engagement, they finally agreed that no, these people are not officers, and he narrated the whole story as to what happened and so forth, and it was agreed that they should be detained. Now, Sunday, Monday, when we were hoping that those people will appear in court, or Tuesday, they never came. And then this man inquired at the police station. It was confirmed that Major General Mboto gave a directive that those people should be released. On the question of firearms and rifles, which were also recovered from the suspect, irrespective of whether they are security officers or not, because of the incident that happened 4 or 5 days before that day, they wanted to subject these firearms for ballistic testing. They were all given back to the suspect and they were all released. I
just want to get an idea of who this Major General Mboto is. Do you know the unit, division?
Yes, he was the head of the Hawks that time. Right now he's Lieutenant General in Divisional Commission.
Thank you.
But they were released as his directive with subjecting those firearms and rifles to ballistic.
Can I just clarify? You mentioned a lieutenant colonel who essentially you worked with on this operation,
yes,
and who effected the arrest. I didn't get the name.
It's Lieutenant Colonel Maluleka. His statement is contained in this annexures.
And the annexure you're referring to is BM6?
The BM6 to BM6E, 6A to BM6A.
Thank you. Chair, I wonder if this is a convenient time to take the tea break.
Let us adjourn and resume at 11:20.